All right, everybody, welcome to the Solidity Podcast. I'm Trey Honeycutt. I get to be your guest host this week. I'm really excited because I have one of my favorite people in the whole world as our guest. That is Heather Robeson. Hello, Heather. How are you?
Hey, Trey. It's so awesome to be here. You have no idea how awesome it is to be here with you and the ladies and the gentlemen.
Well,
it's great. And to see the office.
You seem to find a way to be everywhere where I go. Like I've seen you in California. I've seen you in Texas. I've seen you in Massachusetts.
Yep.
You're all over the place. And it's fascinating because you sell insurance over the phone.
I do.
like we could just talk on the phone, Heather. You don't have to come to all this stuff. I'm just kidding.
I have to see you, Trey.
I'm glad you come to all this stuff. I'm just teasing. So for those that don't know, Heather, just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started selling insurance.
Sure. So I actually was a teacher way back when. I was teaching in a school. I then ended up homeschooling my kids and stopped teaching in schools, taught online, which meant I was teaching in my home, homeschooling my kids, and teaching online to students in China. So I was a homeowner business already. I mean, I was a business owner already. And then China decided we didn't want American teachers anymore, and I needed something to do. So I then started door dashing. I also had a friend who was working with Family First Life, and she had some fancy cars, and I was kind of interested as to what she was doing. She was raising kids on her own, and so I asked her. She gave me the code in February of that year of 2021. I opened it up, did nothing with it until November when the job actually ended, and I was like, oh, this is real. And DoorDash, I started door dashing and all that, but it was just a little interesting. Never thought I'd grow up and be, dealing with life insurance of any kind. As a matter of fact, the only thing I knew about life insurance was, and everybody gets sad when I say this, but don't get sad, it is what it is. But my husband passed away 8 years prior to that. So I received life insurance. We stayed in the house. And that's all I knew. That's all I knew. And I had a really good life agent at that time. I still do. He's a great guy. His name's Mike. So that's all I knew. I ended up telling the boys, my twins were 12, that I've got to study for this test. Let me study. We're not going to DoorDash. We're not going to do anything for 5 days. I scheduled my test, and they let me study, and we didn't DoorDash, and 5 days later I got licensed. I was very slow to get forward moving because we were also moving. I was getting married. We renovated a house all in 5 months.
Wow.
Across the country, by the way.
Yeah, definitely across the country. You went from Connecticut to Texas.
Did. Connecticut to El Paso, Texas, which is an additional 10 or 12 hours
from
what everybody thinks is Texas.
It's Texas, that's right. Well, that's really an incredible story. And so you taught kids in China? What did you teach them? I did.
English, actually.
Oh, okay.
On the computer.
Do you speak Chinese?
Not at all.
Oh, so you just talk English the whole time?
Yep. There was a script or whatever that we just taught them through Zoom. So I'm very acclimated to working through the computer or working, not with people next to me, right? Just working on my own. So
interesting.
That was an easy move there.
Huh. I didn't know that about you. That's fascinating. So there's a recruiting tip. Find people that teach kids in China how to speak English.
Even better, I found that job on Pinterest.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What a trip.
VIP Kid. It's a company that I found on Pinterest. I had to take the jump. I had to take the leap because I didn't have a choice. I wanted to work from home.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be that hard. 12 people use Pinterest, so. It didn't start out like that, though. People used to use it all the time. I haven't used it in years, but it used to be really cool.
What are you talking about?
I'm just teasing you. So how's it been going as far as sales go?
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's been increasing from month to month to month to month.
Yeah. What's the most families you helped in a month so far?
Myself this month, 22. Okay, 22.
22. Okay, we just got a signal from the gallery. 22. Okay. Yeah, good work. And you still have a week left in this month.
Yes.
All right. So how much do you spend a month on leads, do you think?
Well, I do have a regular lead flow, so that's about 5,300 a month, and then I spend an additional 5 to 1,000 a week.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm horrible at math. That's why I have twins that do it for me.
Nice. Okay. Well, what's some advice you could give to agents just getting started? And you sell everything over the phone. You don't do
I
any
do.
home
I do
sales.
everything over the phone. I've gone into homes twice. There's lots of advice you can give them. Don't stop. You have to be motivated. You have to be motivated if you want it to work, right? You have to want it. Nobody's
Right.
going to do the work for you at all.
Yeah, amen to that. So what's a typical schedule look like for you for a day?
Luckily flexible, because that's who I am, and I can travel. Makes me be allowed to travel. Makes me able to have the kids. But I have kids. You're going to have kids no matter what. But do things with the kids. I typically spend the morning from 5 o'clock until 7 doing things for the house, journaling, exercising, and then spending time with my husband before he leaves. And then the kids are still sleeping because they're teenagers. So then at 7, I do my walk and I train. I listen to training while I'm walking on my headphones,
What do you listen to?
podcasts all the time.
Got it.
And I can't pinpoint one, but I do really like Ryan Reynolds. And of course, anything you put out. I just listen to whatever's most recent that I missed that week. That's how I do it.
Good thinking. Okay.
And then if I drive, it's the things that I are in emails, my emails that I miss, or trainings that were recorded and I didn't make it to the meeting for whatever reason.
Nice.
So then 8 o'clock, I sit down and I either do my appointments or dial. I do have a dialer and I do have an assistant. So I work with whatever needs to be done in that time. We kind of tag team leads, me and the dialer, and figure that out, what needs to be dialed. And I do that every day. Every day. Sundays are set for appointments. If somebody can't meet Saturday or Sunday's the only day, or if I haven't hit my goal that week yet, then I do work a little bit on Sundays in the afternoons.
Oh, good for you. Okay. Has it gotten easier?
The selling part?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need I still have my script out just so I can quickly glance at it if I don't know what I'm doing, but I can do it in a grocery store if I needed to.
Nice.
Or on an airplane or wherever.
So
Because I really believe in the product, right? And I really
Right.
believe in what it is. And it actually affected me. And so I know that person needs it. I just have to it's my responsibility to find a way to get it for them if I can. Even if I can't, I try to find somebody who can for whatever reason.
Got it. Well, I think that's a big part of it. Is just having the right attitude about the lead, more than anything. Are you doing one call closes on the phone? So you get
I
them on
do
the phone.
try. No, I definitely have the script for the one call close. But if they're in a car or I can tell there's background noise that isn't the TV or something like that, then I will definitely schedule them. And then, of course, my dialer, he gives me live transfers and appointments. So
Gotcha. So if he could get him to do it right then, he'll just
if
move
I'm
them to
working,
you.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And the other thing
Interesting.
is I do IUL leads and just final expense leads. So I do both.
Got it. Well, what was something you changed along the way that's allowed you to get better at it?
Interestingly, I was just starting to think of doing like a timeline to see what changed along the way to record it so that other agents could see what I did. There's a lot, right? Recently, I think me putting in a Ringy was huge for me. I was using Phone Burner and it was fine. I was there for a year and a half. But then on a podcast, I had heard something about Ringy, and I was like, I've got to utilize that system. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but I really was intent on making it work because it was the same cost. My kids did the math on it. It cost the same as everything else. And I was like, the text part of it, the text feature of it was so important to and intricate to the success of my appointment increase. 100%.
So more people were showing up to appointments, or you were just booking more, or both?
Booking more, and the machine was doing it for me.
Nice.
So the timing, it took away time from me so I could do other things that you have to do. Like there's a lot that has to be done besides
Just booking appointments.
dialing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. So that definitely helped you get in front of more people.
It was a pivotal. You will see in my numbers after February, after our convention, I must have heard something somewhere. I just don't know where, but I started it, and that next month you can see that it's like it doubled in
Production.
production.
So here's the other thing too. We have to go back to this because people are listening to the numbers, Heather, and they're like, wait a second, she spends what? She does what? 22 is your best week. 49
Correct.
families helped, best month
Correct.
so far. Okay, so when you talk about making strides over time and the changes that you've made, I probably don't know an agent that's made more changes over time than you.
Correct.
So one of the big ones recently was Ringy. What are
That
some
was
other
in
things?
February, and now we're in May.
Yeah.
It's only a short time, but I've made a lot of changes.
Yes.
I have, like I said, I was able to hire an admin, which was important because it took a lot of stuff off of me. I do have my kids working with me too, so they do a lot of the little things that allows me to spend time with the clients. I don't let anybody touch my clients. They're mine, right? They're very important to me, and I want them to know that. So client retention is huge for me.
Yeah.
Do I get chargebacks? Yes. But those are the people that we're going to charge back anyways. I know that. I do try listening to podcasts all the time, as much as I can, in spare time while I'm cooking dinner, that type of thing, so that I can always be listening for the little things that people do. Because everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody. And when I'm hiring agents, I also tell them, just always listen to things. You've got to always listen because you never know what you're going to pick out that makes sense to you and works.
Right.
So the schedule, making sure that I'm actually working, which I do. I work a lot, but also adding in time for myself, right? You got to make sure you have some time for yourself, your family, your friends. So add in things like making sure my schedule is correct and edit your schedule, making sure that it works for where you're at the moment. And I do take a time off. I know we were talking about schedule earlier. We kind of got sidetracked, which is normal for me.
Me too.
Taking some time off in the middle of the day, it's kind of dead for me on that time of day. So I usually spend time with the kids or do my household things or whatever during that time. And then I work, and my husband will make dinner. My kids will make dinner. I don't have to worry about that, which is nice. It is a luxury. I feel like I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
I've got an awesome family, and they're very supportive. Hopefully you'll see them in February.
I definitely will.
They're coming if I walk across that stage.
Yeah, you're definitely going to walk across the stage. There's no doubt about that. So you're basically doing so many hours in the morning, a break in the afternoon, and then when do you start for the evening time, typically?
Probably like 1 to 3.
Okay.
I'm back at it.
And then you go to what time?
7, 8.
Okay.
I can't make it much past 8 because I'm exhausted at that point.
Got it.
And then we go to bed.
And that's 6 days a week.
Yeah. Saturdays
Nice.
sometimes depending. No, actually I have to say I've added in. Here's another addition. A goal. I have a goal per week. Starts on Thursday and ends on Wednesday, just like our week. If by Wednesday, every single day, I've either had 10 appointments, 100 dials, or 2 sales in a day, every day, then I add a half a day on Saturday I get to my family. So
That's smart.
it's written on my dial sheet. And 100 dials doesn't sound like a lot. I know some telesales are like, you got to do 700, but that's not how I do it. I literally have 10 appointments, 2 sales, or 100 dials. And of course, sometimes I go over that just because I'm competitive with myself and I want to get all 3. But
Yeah. Well, good for
but at
you.
least the small goal, the mini goal is that.
Yeah, that
I
makes a
did
lot of
add
sense,
that in like
actually.
3 weeks ago, and it's been very helpful.
So there's a lot of wisdom in that, and I've seen that for years in different ways, the ways people would set that up. But what it typically would look like is if I write X amount by, Friday, then I don't have to work on the weekend. That was the earliest iteration of what she just talked about.
Yeah.
If I could go out, if I could book enough appointments on Monday to write enough Tuesday and Wednesday, then I don't have to run my Saturday, Sunday. And you get the extra time back in order to hire and recruit and build. So yeah, good for you.
I think the key to that, though, is actually giving yourself that treat.
Yes.
Sometimes you're like, oh, but if I still work the half a day,
Yes.
I'll make more. So I guess towards the end of the month when you're trying to hit numbers, then that half a day goes into a couple hours.
Well, good for you. Don't let me mess you up. That's smart. What are some of your goals?
With the business?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of evolved as well, right? I started out just wanting to make my bills, right? That's how it started. And then I went to convention the first time, and I was like a little bit starstruck. And I was like, that's amazing. There's no way that person, Steve, of course, Giordano, made $1 million. Like, that's so weird. I could never be like that. I could never be fancy like that and make that much money. I wouldn't even know what that means, right? So then I went to Dallas, and I think you were there. I don't know, but Sean was. And my son came with me, Nathan, and we walked out of there saying we were ready to build the business. Mm-hmm. So that was a critical time too. That was last year, and we came up with everything. That my logo. Don't worry, logo coming soon. And everything. Like we had a napkin we wrote on in the car on the way home. Like we literally planned it out. Never thought I'd be there. And then convention this year, I was actually asking people, okay, who does your hair? Like, do you do your hair? Like, because I got to prepare myself for next year to make sure that I'm doing things right. So my goals are this. I've definitely got to make Hall of Fame this year. There's no doubt about it. How much over that will be determined by God and faith, because I'm just going to work hard. I really have to just work hard. I started trying to recruit because of you guys, and it's actually really hard for me to recruit, but I think it is for everybody. But I'm doing everything you tell, except for I'm not consistent with it. I'm not going to lie to you because you're sitting right here. I don't want
I
you to be
appreciate
mad
that.
at me.
Thank you. I'm not mad at you.
But being consistent with that would be something I need to improve on for 100%. 100%. But I am creative. I will hire anybody who I feel like I can talk to and offer the position, because somebody taught me, or it's well known around here, that if you don't offer it, you're not going to know.
That's right.
So even the person I spoke to fix my iPad yesterday on the phone now has an interview today.
Good for you.
She's licensed too.
Well, and nobody's really, there's this myth that there's this such thing as a consistent or an inconsistent person. There really is no such thing as an inconsistent person. Everybody's about as inconsistent as everybody else.
True.
The only difference is when people get off track, they just get back on track quicker. That's what you consider to be a consistent person.
Well, I also want to say that I think that if I were to just add it into my schedule,
Yes.
then I would
That's
do
it.
it, right?
Yeah, you just need a block of
If I put it
time.
in my calendar, then I would just do it.
That's all it is.
Spend 15 minutes putting the text out, and I just don't do that. So I'm going upstairs to do that.
All right, every day. Just do that. 5 days a week. If you do that 5 days a week, it's bound to work.
Yep.
You know, you'll find the right people and they'll show up. So, well, good work, Heather. I'm proud of you. I believe you can do it. I know you're going to be Hall of Fame. And I know it'll dramatically change your life. You know, when I started, my whole deal was I was just trying to pay my bills too. I never thought that this would turn into what it actually, that's not true. I knew it would turn into what it turned into. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. And I didn't know what it would look like when it happened. Like, it's hard to explain to somebody what, you know, financial success does when you've never really had it. You know,
Yeah, I know.
It's just all of a sudden one day you don't have to think about money anymore, you know.
Can I tell a quick story?
Yes.
So I've cried many times to Christina and Marisa over finances.
I have too.
Worried,
No,
right?
I'm just kidding. I haven't. But I would totally do that. If I was going to cry to anybody, it'd be those two.
I know they're awesome. But you have so much to worry about in life, and then what happened was it slowly decreased, and you slowly start just crying less, and sometimes real cries, but you know, whining less or complaining less. But the feeling of having, I'm not saying I'm not in debt still. I still am. Don't worry. But I'm good. I have that vision that it's going to be taken care of, right? How could it not, right? So the story is, what was the story? I forgot it. Shoot.
You were crying to Marisa and Christina.
Them all the time. Oh, even yesterday, I don't know if I can, like, if I'm allowed to say this, but I was on the phone. I was traveling. I'm traveling, and I had to get my hotspot working on my phone and my iPad, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working, and I needed it. I'm going to be traveling across the country. I needed the ability to work while I'm traveling, right? So I call my phone carrier. That's how I say it properly. I call my phone carrier, and this woman answered, and she says, you know, you don't have that plan. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I get it? And she was like, well, it's so much per month, per month. And I'm like, okay, sign me up. And is it immediate? Like, I was literally, I had to have it, right?
Right.
And she goes, do you sell life insurance? Why, yes, I do. And she was like, I knew it. Just the way that you needed and you weren't worried about the money that it was going to cost.
Wow.
That was critical right there. Like, listen to that. Like that. I was like, well, you're right. Cause I need it. Cause I know that $10 a month more is going to produce in that 5 days that I'm gone, a lot of money.
Right.
Right. Like that was important.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the first phase when you realize that things are really changing, is when things that used to bother you financially, you're just like, all right, yeah, let's just do that.
Right.
Like, I don't have to go through this whole, I don't have to look at the checking account 35 times or, question what's going to happen. Like, I know the cash flow will be there.
And then you can help people more too.
Right.
Despite, our clients, yes, but you can help other people too. Like, I can help agents if they can't get to the BOMs or I can help people, which is, I love that. That's my favorite part of life. Sometimes people don't believe that you're real if you do stuff like that though. Right. But then they notice that you are, and, you're just doing the best that you can to help them get out of whatever spot they're in.
Well, for me, a big thing that I had to get over early on was I thought that having money was bad. Like, that. I mean, if I'm being honest, I thought that was bad. Because a lot of people that I met that had money were like evil. They were like bad people. And I got around some people that were good people that had money. And then they just explained to me that, money's just a magnifier. If you're a generous person with no money, you'll be a really generous person when you do have money.
Yeah.
If you're an angry, bitter person that nobody wants to be around without money, you'll just be more angry and bitter with money.
Yes, that's very true.
And so if I had to vote for who should have more money, you should, because you'll do the right thing with it. So
yeah, and I intend to continue to do more.
That's right. Me too. Well, thanks for getting on the podcast with me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Heather. This has been a good one. Tune in next week or tomorrow, whenever we do another one of these things. It was a pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks
Always
for being
enjoyed.
on.